Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wirral Theatre Festival podcast. You've got myself, Robbie, here.
And you've got me, Craig.
And we've got a very special guest today, one of the writers, one of the players and directors, I think, and also the head of the company. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Alex Carr. Thanks very much for having me here.
And you're from Old Fruit Jar Productions, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So,
first thing I have to ask is what inspired the name, because it's a great name.
we've got a few little red herring tales that we tell people to see if they can guess, but
Okay.
just for the sake of time,
I mean, if you don't want to tell, you don't have to.
No, that's fine. I will go straight in and tell you guys. So it's actually a lyric from Elvis's Blue Suede Shoes. He says, "Drink my liquor from an old fruit jar." We all met filming a project for a play about the Beatles, and in the scene, John very spontaneously gets up and sings Blue Suede Shoes. So we just thought that'd be a really nice kind of way to sort of remember our beginnings as a theatre company.
Because there's so many ways, isn't there? You can come up with names that are linked to theatre, or you can go avant-garde with it, but it's nice to have something random, but there is actually a good story behind it.
Yeah, it's nice. We really like it, although we do get some very interesting spins on the name, such as Old Fridge Jar we've had before, which is great fun.
And you always wonder, have they done that on purpose, or have they genuinely just misread?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like a power play or if it's
possibly passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
It's passive-aggressive and a power play.
Yeah,
so obviously you're one of the few people, I think, who's coming with a company as
Sure.
opposed to just a director who's got a play or a writer or so. So why don't you just give us a little lowdown on what's the history of Old Fruit Jar so far?
Yeah, so we started as a theatre company in 2019, so just before COVID, which was perfect timing for us as a company.
A lot of writing done in lockdown.
Yeah, we got one show out the way. That was January 2020.
Then a break.
And then a break for about 2 years, which was...
Yeah, you were well rested, that's all.
You didn't do any online lockdown projects or anything?
No, we kind of used that time to sort of pool resources and sort of make a plan of action, I guess, which, as you will both know, being in this industry doesn't necessarily go to plan, so it's all well and good. But we just sort of used that time to navigate those very bizarre circumstances we found ourselves in and just find a way out of it afterwards, which we did, and we came back from lockdown with an 80s inspired production of Twelfth Night, which we put on at the Royal Court in Liverpool in the studio, which was really great. And the Royal Court and Shakespeare are two things that you genuinely put together.
Yeah.
But it really kind of worked, and we managed to sell
the Shakespeare North Playhouse hadn't been finished by that
No,
point, had it?
no. It was just a twinkle in someone's eye, I think, at that stage.
Was it being built at that point?
Yeah, I think
took
so.
a
It was
while
still,
to
yeah.
build it.
And then that opened, and we were able to put on 12th Night in the studio at the Royal Court, and then we've developed a really good relationship with the Royal Court as well. So the last couple of shows we've had on we've had in the studio, which is great. So we did the Incident Room, which was a...
Remember seeing all the stuff about that?
Yeah.
We know Luke, obviously, who's
Of
been in
course.
some of the productions.
Yeah, so that was great. That was based on a true story, so all set in one location. It was about the police manhunt for Peter Sutcliffe, or the Yorkshire Ripper, in the 70s in the UK. And that was a really, really interesting production to kind of challenge people's perspectives on what they know to be true about those events, because it wasn't too long ago.
Almost documentary.
Yeah, exactly, and it was very much, we wanted the audience to feel like they're a fly on the wall in this police station, so there was a lot of immersion. And we then, last year, staged a production of It's a Wonderful Life, so very different to Gritty
It went
Police
really
Procedural.
well.
Yeah, it was great. It was really well received. It was lovely. We transferred it to St George's Hall, and then we were invited back to the Royal Court this year to do it again, which is very exciting.
And that's the thing, isn't it? With every theatre, times are hard these days. You get your first chance there to basically prove if you can do the quality they look for in productions they have in, kind of thing. So you've obviously done a great job for them to invite you back and obviously continue that quality throughout everything.
Yeah, we're very proud of it. We like to think we're quite, humble about it as well.
I don't think it's an easy time to be a theatre company,
No.
Everything's so tight.
It's very difficult, and that's
it's not like 20 years ago where they probably had some money. It's like, well, look, here's $3,000, put something on and see what you can do now.
You've got to be the quality,
everything.
but you've also got to be unique enough to be not like anything else.
Absolutely, and that's what kind of attracted me to this as well, is that you guys are offering a platform for people just to show off the work that they've got without any sort of strings attached, or without necessarily needing the whole financial background, or you don't need a whole creative team. It's just, it helps if you've got one, of course, which is the position I'm in.
To help people who need it. Obviously, I don't think you're going to need that much help from us at all, but if you do need anything, that's what we like to do in the festival, be the fly on the wall that you can call upon if something's missing, or if you need an answer for something. and you just enjoy basically putting the theatre show on.
Yeah, that's great. And it's
drag the set around.
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really necessary, isn't it?
The only thing you might find different about our festival is, have you done any fringe theatre before?
A long time ago we did.
Obviously probably the way you do stuff is you'll be able to get your tech run, you'll be able to get in and do this and do that and do this and do that. Obviously you can go and look at these spaces whenever you like.
Yeah.
But you may not get a full rehearsal in them, so it'll have that kind of fresh edge to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want it to feel spontaneous.
I think we've set the stage direction, so you can map that out anywhere, so you'll know the actual dimensions. And then I think there's steps up either side that you can't see. They're like down to the wings, and then you'll have some spots and stuff. But yeah, it's I don't know about you. I'm someone who does like a little bit of control. And there's a kind of almost a lack of, because you have to kind of put your faith in, like, the tech people are going to do what they need to do properly, the sound people are going to do what they need to do properly. And they were great guys.
They were great.
We were so
great.
lucky.
Sure.
Such a good team. So as long as everything's marked up properly.
The stage was beautiful as well.
Yeah, we're no strangers to sort of getting in on the day and doing your tech on the day, and then you open a show in the evening.
In some ways, I find that adventurous.
It's fun. I like the challenge. I also like 3 days to tech, but we move.
Yeah, we all do.
Budgets are budgets, unfortunately. I mean, if we ever got funding, we would definitely. I would definitely love to have a day for everyone to do their play just as a practice, if there was funding available. If we could ever get any sponsors are out there, please listen. You just want to throw some money and not get a return on it, we'd happily take it.
Sounds
so before we move on to talking about the actual project itself, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I trained in film and TV, so my background is film and TV production. I've worked as a floor runner for a few TV dramas that filmed in and around Liverpool, with the likes of Netflix and BBC and stuff like that.
So you're quite a visual storyteller then, because film and TV are very
it is.
visual.
It's very different, and I feel like when I direct a play, because obviously everything's live and you've only sort of effectively got one camera angle, and that is the audience and what they see. I still quite like to direct visually as though there are camera angles, so I'm editing the play in my head, if that makes sense.
There aren't there? Because like whoever sits in the middle sees that side of something. If you're on the edge, you might see
you've got to see something else. So even if you can't, obviously restricted view tickets are a thing generally in theatres. If you can't see what's going on,
restricted view, there's a pillar in your face. It's not restricted. You have no view.
You're back to the stage.
Some of them though, the restricted view aren't much cheaper.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's like, can't they like put a screen on the pillar that has a camera on the? Do you know what I mean?
There are some shows where it's like in London on the West End, where it's like if you come in and watch a play, please be warned that this is a restricted view ticket, but you can watch some of the action on a screen. Like if you go out into the bar, you can watch the stuff that you're missing. It's like, right, okay, but I want
it in footage.
I'm paying to see it live.
In plane, yeah.
So that's all very interesting. But I quite like to direct theatre quite visually as well. So even though your attention is focused here, there's still something happening over here, so that if an audience who is then also editing their own version of this play just happens to look over, see what this actor is doing. Exactly. Yeah. Even if they're not, if they get, distracted by something that's going on over there, at least it's still relevant to the play. It's not like you're just waiting for an actor.
I think they're the hardest roles as well. I prefer to be the main role because I just say my lines, I do my blocking and all that. If you're in the background, you haven't got anything to say for 6 pages. You can't just sit there waiting to say something. You've got to, what is your character? What's your character's journey? Like that, to me, I think it's so much harder because you have to create your own narrative, with or without help. Whereas the main character, like their narrative's kind of written down for them.
Yeah, and that's something that we learned very quickly as a company. I think when we did the incident room, as I say, that was all set in one police station. There were a few moments where one or two cast members would be off stage to give themselves a breather. But
so you're always on stage.
Everyone was always on stage, so you had to be constantly doing.
So in a way, it's almost a bit like film, then, isn't it? Because you don't get to pop off for a break. Like you're literally in the moment. The camera stops rolling,
and you have to. And I find that very exciting.
More and more films are leading into this continuous one take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adolescence, that was done in one take, but with many cameras. So because I got confused, but they keep changing shot. I was like, so it's not one shot, it's one take. So they do the whole episode in one go.
They'll just
about
change
6 or 7 times
onto a different camera on a gimbal or whatever.
Did you see some of the documentaries about how they were doing some of the shots with these drones and things? Like it's so cool.
It's great.
What you can do that doesn't necessarily have to cost the earth anymore.
No, absolutely not. There's I don't know if you've seen The Studio on Apple TV.
I haven't, no.
There's some great behind the scenes stuff of that because a lot of the shots in that are designed to look like it's one take. There is a whole episode, which is episode 2 or 3, I think. That the whole episode is about shooting a Wanna. So that episode kind of delves into the logistics and practicalities of it whilst also doing it itself. But some of the behind the scenes shot, like footage of that is incredible. Like 1 minute they're sitting in a car, and then the next minute they have to take the back of the car off so that the camera can get there and all sorts. It's a logistical, just like, masterpiece.
I think it's magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the fact that someone, not every brain can do it, can visually see how I get that shot, and what I need to do is do this and take that off. To me, there's a magic behind that.
Yeah, it's great, and I try my best to apply that to theatre where possible.
But sometimes it's nice, I think, to have the restraint of, well, how do I make it work in what I've got? Because I can't do the big vision. How do I pare that down to a great version of a small idea?
Exactly, yeah. It's fascinating.
I suppose we should talk about the play, because that is the most important thing, because that is what this podcast is all about. So it's called The Execution of Private Slovik, isn't it?
Yeah.
Slovik, my apologies. And it is, again, another based on true events, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a really fascinating story set in the Second World War, and it sort of discusses this young man, Eddie Slovik, who is the first and only American soldier to be shot for the crime of desertion since the Civil War. So he was kind of dragged into the army, let's say, by
conscription kind of thing.
Yeah, he was an ex-convict. He stole some bread and chewing gum when he was a kid, and they slapped a prison sentence on him. So when he got out of prison, he was told, "You're morally unfit for duty," and he was branded the lowest category, so they're the bottom of the barrel, basically, when the army needs men. Yeah, exactly. And then so he's basically told, "You will never serve in this war. You will never fight in this war." So he goes, okay, I'm going to make a proper life for myself now. I'm going to go and buy a house and I'm going to get married. And he does. And on his first wedding anniversary, he gets a letter that says, "You are needed in France. Off you go." And so this guy who has never sort of seen active combat in his life, he's 24, has never experienced what it's like to serve in the army, is all of a sudden put on the front line in France in some of the bloodiest battles that the US Army had seen for the entire Second World War. And he crumbles and he hides in a foxhole. And by the time morning comes around, his company has moved out and he goes in the opposite direction. He doesn't try and necessarily find them, but he turns himself into a nearby company and he stays with them for a while. But in the eyes of the US Army, that counts as desertion.
I was going to say, he's not technically left. He just
not technically
absconded.
Absconded. But then turned himself in at the first opportunity that he had and told them, "Look, I will fight in this war, but I do not want to go on the front line." And again, Uncle Sam went, "That's desertion. So
don't get a choice.
We'll give you a death sentence."
Because there must have been other people who deserted then.
Hundreds of thousands of men deserted. I think there were.
Do we know why? Without obviously, if that gives it away, do we know why he got a death sentence if he did, or not, compared to other people?
So that's something that the play kind of discusses it as it
the morals.
Exactly. As the play goes on, we sort of try to understand the concept of duty and why one person thinks it's okay for this young soldier to be shot to death while another thinks it's the worst thing in the world. So
it's like a debate on death penalty, essentially.
Exactly, yeah. And we sort of uncover the morality behind it, the sort of circumstances and consequences of that action as well. So the characters in the play are Slovik's defense attorney, who is just a guy who was assigned to be his defense lawyer. Basically, he's got no legal background whatsoever, because that's how it was in the army. You just sort of get given a role. There are the commanding officers who sign off on the warrants. There is a guy, another private who served with Slovik, who is part of the firing squad. So we learn about his reservations and things like that, and his thoughts on the whole thing. So it's a really fascinating study of all of the different moving parts that come together to carry out such an order, and discusses why it's necessary. And the audience can take away from it what they want, really. They may disagree with the action.
I suppose the moral question would be is this the right thing to do, or is this inhuman?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you say that's the question. I want to know how good the bread was.
To be honest, literally you could sneeze in Victorian times and you could get sent to Australia for 14 years. And I don't think it had changed until quite recently.
Yeah.
It's they're disproportionate, the punishments given out for certain crimes.
That's it.
I think.
And there's a whole section in his kind of records that says that his conduct is invariably that of his friends. So if one of his friends would steal something, he'd do it just to fit in, or if they all got drunk, he would get drunk as well. Almost. Exactly. So there's a whole kind of theory that maybe he ran away just because there were thousands of other men doing it, and when he was discovered by this Canadian Pro Corps after he deserted the first time, he was with another private from his unit, It just so happens that that guy went back to active service, so no penalty was slapped on him, whereas this time round he gets punished because of this action to say, no, I don't want to serve in this war.
Now, you say it's obviously based on a true story. When we say based on a true story, is there any part of it that is verbatim, or is it you've took this story and then applied your own dramatic interpretation of it?
It's a bit of both, actually. So there's a lot of dialogue that does come directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So we go into... Eddie Slovik doesn't appear as a character, which I think adds a little bit more power to it.
Just discussed
it's the people around him, yeah. So the whole circumstance of the play is kind of fictional in the sense that there was no big debate the night before the execution. I've just got most of the people that were involved in his execution and his journey.
So, like, imagine if we sat them all down to dinner and said,
exactly,
right,
what's going on?
Yeah, convince me why we should or why we
exactly.
shouldn't.
So his defence lawyer, Captain Woods, he sits down and says, okay, I'm going to bring everyone in together and I'm going to try and overturn this decision. So he brings in the commanding officers, he brings in the boy from the firing squad, he brings in the priest. That's just to sort of talk about these circumstances and get an idea of it. So a lot of it is verbatim based on the testimony and based on the court proceedings, etc. But there is a little bit of artistic license taken as well, just to kind of tie it all together. Yeah. But we read a lot from Eddie sent hundreds and hundreds of letters to his wife while he was both in incarceration and also just while he was in basic training. So we draw a lot from those letters.
Are they like publicly available kind of things?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Cool.
It sounds right. I'm excited to see it. We're very lucky. I think this year we've got a real good mix of different stories. We've got some serious, we've got some sad, we've got some comedy, we've got some absurdity. It's going to be great. So Alex's play is on the 16th of August at the Floor Pavilion in the Blue Lounge. If you don't know where that is, you go in up the stairs and go right, not left. People struggled last year to find the lounge more than anything. And it is on in the evening as part of an evening of work. So it starts at 6 o'clock. So we'd recommend getting there for about 5:30 so you can get a drink, get something to eat if you want. And I think yours is on around about the 8 o'clock mark.
Sounds good.
Am I right, Liz? I've got lots of dates and times floating back in my head. But do come along if you can, support us. Everyone's got some great stories to tell. And I'm just excited because as a producer, I get to stand at the back and watch them all.
That's a watch.
Sounds good. So, thank you very much from me, Robbie.
And from me, Craig.
And from me, Alex.
And don't forget, you can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, X, I always call it Twitter. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, and we're on Facebook. And they're all, I think the handle is W Theatre Fest. So we'll catch you on the next episode.
Goodbye.